Let the beardstruggle.com cream all over your beard.
What?
With the Beard Struggle's all new beard cream.
Oh, thank God.
Now everybody can get nice and creamy.
I think what he means to say is that with ingredients like glycerin and shea butter, avocado, and jojoba oils, it's perfect for everyone, anytime.
Night, day, hot, cold. You're gonna get that cream.
Okay. And hydrolonic acid ensures deep hydration without the grease for long beard or just some scruff.
Creamy scruff without the grease.
Dude, just stop. And as always, use our exclusive discount code TORTURE19 and take up to 19% off at checkout.
Getting creamy and taking it off.
Okay, we need to end this. TheBeardStruggle.com. Do what's right for your beard. Do what's right for your face.
Sort your sexy, creamy fucking beard out.
Oh, boy. The subject of today's episode is a device that would leave even the most bloodthirsty crowd speechless. Going back as far as ancient Greece, this instrument of pain consists of wood, iron, maybe fire, maybe some metal spikes. Honestly, it had as many uses as countries that used it, making its way across Europe, especially in France and Germany, and even showing up in the Americas, but for some reason, never growing in popularity in England. It didn't matter if it was notorious thieves, murderers, traitors, or even counts and knights. The process might be different, but the results were almost always the same. A body left bloodied and broken. We'll see actual physical evidence of the use of this device, the very loose correlation between this and another even more famous apparatus of execution, and we'll answer the age-old question, who the fuck is Catherine? Today we give you the breaking wheel. I'm Kevin Young.
I'm Iron Man.
And this is Torture.
We're back, baby.
Fucking A, man. It's been a while. It's been a trek. But we are back. I was gonna get like all tuned up, like we're back, but I can't play that without copyright infringement and paying a bunch of royalties and all that shit. So let's just leave it at that. Oh fuck. So let's take like 5 minutes and just say every single thing that's happened in the past 3-4 months.
Yeah.
October. Yeah.
You go first.
We'll roll it all into one word. Shit.
Yeah.
A lot of
complete
shit.
And utter shit.
Yes. Dan is up a new house. I am down 2 cats from the last time we talked. It's been a traumatizing fucking few months.
Yeah. Shit has been real.
Yeah, it's been ridiculous. I think 2.5 years of going without missing a recording date, without missing an episode, with the exception of stuff that we had planned. Pretty good.
Take that, average D&D party.
God damn. Take that, our D&D party.
That's because there was more than 2 people involved.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But thank you for everybody that kept listening and kept an eye out for when we were putting stuff out. I did not live up to my side of it. I told everybody, hey, I'll be posting on social media. I'll be keeping you guys updated. And I did absolutely none of that.
You had more important things going on. So
Yeah, I still felt bad. Every few days I was like, I should go do something. And then like, nah. Just...
it's all good.
You know, the fucking world kicks you in the nuts, and sometimes you just got to take a mulligan. I'm just going to go lay down for a while and not get up for a few months. But anyway, Dan, how are you doing, man?
Sick.
Yeah,
good.
I hear you.
Yeah, pretty just worn down. You know, outside of that, good though. You know, along with the house, we also inherited rodents. So
yeah,
that's what has turned a 2-week renovation into what is now 3 months.
Yeah,
at this stage, and still ongoing.
Yeah,
you know, we're hitting the end of it slowly but surely. Like, you know, in some ways, in some areas, you know, there's nearly there.
Oh, it's stuff you look back on and you're like, oh, remember that? Oh, man, glad that's over with. And you're going through it. Woo.
Yeah, it's hard to see the small incremental progress in comparison. You know, like if, like this room, I'm sitting in the kitchen now, and this has been best part 2 months.
Yeah,
in the making, dribs and drabs. You know, and
oh yeah.
You know, because we had our friend tiling the floor, and he would come over for an hour when he's finishing up in the evening and pop in and lay a few and then go home, and then come back in the next day, lay a few, go home.
Yeah.
So every day he'd come in to be like, a little bit more done or whatever, you know. And so yeah, then our kitchen didn't fit. Fucking kitchens. I hate kitchens. I love kitchens, but I hate kitchens.
If I could show you people or let you listen to the voice messages and other messages I got from Dan about that fucking kitchen, my God, or the bathroom or or anything else. Oh man, you had a hell of a time. I was feeling bad for you, man. I really was.
Look, we learned our lessons from this, which is why we will not do it again.
Yeah, rehabbing a house, man, is a fucking shit show. When you have you have jobs that you got to go to. You can't focus 24 hours a day to it. You know, it's where you're living pretty much between there and your mother-in-law's house for a little while. I did construction for years, man, and rehabbing a house is a lot harder than just going in and building something new. It really is.
Oh, no, it's a pain in the ass.
It's a shit.
I think we're already talking about doing like an extension in a couple of years.
Yeah.
But not us doing it, obviously.
Yeah, hiring somebody,
spec it all out and just be like, and from start to finish, have it done. You know, like.
Oh, yeah. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's definitely the way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck this shit.
There's light at the end of the tunnel. It's probably a train, but there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, that's it, yeah. So I decided to take a break from doing all this shit in order to listen to ways in which people have been brutally maimed and or killed or whatever.
Yeah.
In this glorious...
Yeah. And it will be. Today will be a brutal day. There's a lot.
Nice.
There's a lot of horribleness today. And, it won't get better over the next few weeks because I decided... We're going to hit this part of the season hard since we had to take so much time off and nobody got any new content. So,
cool.
Buckle up, baby.
Let's do this.
All right. Dan, let's take you back to 1720 Paris. I know you love it when I go to France because I can't pronounce a goddamn thing. Nothing's changed over the past 3 months, don't worry.
I still can't either, so. Maybe lip you.
You are the Chevalier de Milhe, or the Knight of Milhe, and you, along with Count Antoine de Horn, yes, all regal, have been convicted of murder and are sentenced to die. See, you and the Count had made an appointment with a Jewish share dealer in the town of Rue Camquapa. Why they have to go out of their way to tell you he's Jewish, I don't know. But he's this Jewish guy under the guise of selling him shares of the royal bank worth 100,000 crowns. when in reality, the two of you only plan on robbing him blind. Unfortunately, during the attack, the share dealer was killed, and when a servant entered the room and witnessed the murder, the two of you jump out of a window to get away. You were both quickly arrested and sent to jail. Now, the Count was well known. The son of a princess, he has aristocratic relatives, friends in high places.
He was Jewish.
All that good shit. all that good shit. They worked hard to get him and possibly you out of trouble, going as far as to try and bribe the executioner, Charles Sanson, with gold. But regardless, the petition signed by earls, dukes, bishops, and even a prince, the regent, steadfast in his decision, shocked the court with your sentence. First, in accordance with the law, they would try to get the names of any accomplices. And to do this, you would both be subject to something we know all too well, the brodequin, or simply, the boot. One of our favorites. So, when Sanson comes to retrieve you, he sees that both of you must be carried, as your ankles were crushed to the bone. The two of you are thrown on a pile of straw that was being dragged by a horse to the Paris de Grève, where the scaffold had been built. Atop the scaffold.
The ye old ambulance. Except the horse going on. It was a donkey. It was going hee-haw.
Ye old
hee-haw,
Uber.
Hee-haw, hee-haw.
Yeah. Atop the scaffold, two wheels are already mounted on posts with a St. Andrew's cross laying flat on each. St. Andrew's cross, going to be brought up a few times today. It's just two pieces of wood making an X. Think of Theon Greyjoy getting his nuts cut off. That's what the St. Andrew's cross was. The two of you are bound to these crosses, and almost immediately, two other torturers grab iron clubs and begin smashing your arms and legs. You, Chevalier, let out blood-curdling screams as the bones of your limbs are broken and splintered. As for the Count, well, Sanson had bent ever so slightly to the whims of the higher class and administered the retinum, or had quietly strangled the Count to death with the use of a thin garrote in show of mercy before breaking his bones.
I thought you said the rectum.
The retinum.
Turns around and here he is with his finger up his bum. It's like,
the Count's just
cough.
Break a limb, baby. You, Chevalier, will not be given the same courtesy. The crowd, horrified, but just like bad daytime TV, were unable to look away as your cries of pain increased. It's almost like me watching Lord of the Rings for the 80th fucking time. My wife just has it on in the front room. I'm trying to get something done. Well, we'll watch this while I stand here looking at the TV for the next 10 minutes while whatever I have on the stove burns.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Must watch that soon again.
A priest tries to ease your suffering by wiping the sweat from your brow and pouring drops of water into your mouth, but the only compassion that will do you any good comes when Sanson gives the final order, the coup de grace, or blow of mercy. One of the torturers picks up a large block of iron and drops it directly onto your chest, caving it in and giving you the sweet, sweet relief from your agony. This was the torture of the breaking wheel. The bodies of the Count and Chevalier were cut down, their limbs only connected to the body by shreds of torn and bloodied skin, placed in a cart, and taken to a chapel for a funeral a few days later.
So the fact of it being a wheel wasn't actually in play. Like, they could have put them on a plank, or they could have put them on
in some instances, in this instance, yes, but the wheel itself actually does come quite a bit into play.
Because I was assuming when I first heard about it that you literally stuck somebody on it. It was like one of those carnival ride things and used my like Wheel of Fortune style.
God damn it, Did
I just
you know what I
ruin this
love
for you?
about sitting here recording with you is sometimes you just say the weirdest shit, thinking that, oh, well, this is just going to be fun to say, not knowing that you are exactly right. It's happened more times than I can count where Dan just says something, oh, I'm just going to say this and it's going to be funny. And then I'm over here going, yes, actually, yes.
Is this the origins of Wheel of Fortune? Is that what
It
this
might
is?
be.
Everybody in the crowd, Wheel of Fortune.
We will get there in a little bit. Trust me. It's, yeah. I was wondering if you were going to say that. I was actually at work last night, be like, I wonder if he's going to say something about fucking a carnival wheel or something. I bet.
Honestly, that's exactly what I assumed it was. That like they, like my actual assumption of it was that like they'd use it to be able to, let's say, even just turn them upside down to have blood flowing through their head, because we all know how bad that is, and then do shit to them and then turn them back over and all sorts of things, to reposition you in uncomfortable ways. And
there are times where it could be like, well, you don't really need the wheel. You could just use the St. Andrew's cross to get the same result. And for a lot of times in France, that was kind of how it was. You could put them on a wheel or a St. Andrew's cross and do either one. But there are many times where the wheel itself becomes a very important part of this form of torture and execution. And it's
sticking on the side of a wagon.
Yeah, it's not fun
like
for anybody.
riding through town, and it's just this guy.
The next year, October 15th, the October 15th, 1721 edition of the Barber's Journal in Paris announced that, quote, Cartouche, the notorious robber who was sought everywhere and found nowhere, is captured. Louise Dominique Bourguignon, or Louise Dominique Garthausen, or Louise Dominique Cartouche, or Louise Lamar, whatever fucking name he decided to go by, was a highwayman that would Robin Hood his way around Paris with his Corps de Miracles gang, stealing from the rich and allegedly giving to the poor. And he did it all while only being about 4.5 feet tall. Nice. I think this... Yeah.
Do you know what they call Robin Hood in France?
What's that?
Le Robin Hood.
Le Robin Hood. It's a Royale with cheese. A Robin Hood with cheese. After he was arrested, he was 4.5 feet tall. Apparently he had a big bulbous head. Real thin, shaggy, wispy hairs, these weird fucking eyes, and for what everybody said, he was a lady killer. He just did so well with the ladies. I was like, well, yeah, he probably had a fucking summer sausage in between his legs. And the fact that he's this notorious robber, he's been out doing this shit for years. He has a whole gang behind him. He controls a bunch of people. I was
going to say, I guarantee you he was actually of average size, but it just, in comparison to the rest of them, it just looked huge.
Yeah. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
It's like Napoleon. It's like Napoleon was actually an average-sized man, but
just because it's touching the ground, Napoleon, doesn't mean it's that great. It's give you tiny legs.
Yeah. Well, I got a longer torso than I got legs, so it kind of drags when I walk. That's why it makes me look so small. Now, after
it's like those Slurm guys from Futurama, just moving along.
Now, after he was arrested and sent to Charlotte prison, he was confined to a cell with triple doors, chained to a stake attached to a pillar, and guarded by 4 men. And even with all this precaution, he still managed to escape. With the help of his Mason cellmate, they managed to break his chains, make a hole in the sewer gallery beneath the floor, wade through the water to the end of the gallery, remove a large stone to emerge in the cellar of a greengrocer. But the grocer's dog gave them up with all its barking.
His cellmate was Sean Connery from The Rock.
Yeah, yeah, and the cellmate's just Nick Cage. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. We're going to rock.
We have to save the people. You're just
Rocket Man. Do you know Rocket Man?
Cartouche has escaped. There's a dog barking. It must be him. That's pretty much what he was given up by a dog barking. I mean, I guess back in the 1700s, if a dog barked, the police came running. So
it's like a whole SWAT team coming in as soon as the dog barked.
Where's the dog barking, sir?
Yeah.
Where is
Get
the
the fuck out
content?
of the fucking crowd.
So the police showed up, rearrested Cartouche, still wearing short lengths of chain on his wrists and ankles. He was then sent to Conciergerie prison, the same prison that held Marie Antoinette, and for all of you that watched the Olympics, the same building Gojira played outside of, which I still, to this day, will not live. I will recommend anybody go watch the opening ceremony just to watch the Gojira performance. It's fucking amazing. So
it was pretty good.
He was tortured with the boot on the 27th of November while the scaffold was being prepared. The Barber's Journal reporting, quote, all night long on Thursday, 26th, four-wheeled cabs carried passengers to the Place de Grève until it was jammed with people, all waiting for the event. Windows facing the square were lit all night. The cold was biting, but the crowds lit fires right in the square, and local merchants sold food and drink. Everyone was laughing, drinking, singing. Most of the spectators had had their places reserved for over a month.
Jesus.
It was a fucking sporting event. They're just out there like, popcorn, get your popcorn.
I was going to say the
little
the
foam
barbers
fingers.
of... What those little clacky things?
Yeah, you got people out there with signs like the WWE.
Yeah. Hi, Mom, I'm on TV.
John 316.
But the barbers obviously had fuck all to be doing if that's the shit they're reporting on.
Yeah.
You know,
I just want to know what haircuts in style this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cartouche.
This week, the Rachel. Next week, torture.
Is the fade back in style? Only we know. Barber's Journal. Extra, extra. Now, the next day, Cartouche was strapped to the cross on the wheel, and his shins, thighs, forearms, and upper arms were all broken. He endured 11 blows from the club in about 20 minutes before he died. So, I mean, little guy, he's not going to be able to take too much, I suppose. Yeah.
Poor little person.
Yeah.
I'd say little boy. I forgot he's not a boy. He's just tiny.
Not a boy, I'm a full-grown man. But was that all there was to it? Just tie someone to a wheel and smack them with a club a few times? No. Not even close. Dan's all. Oh my God! There were tons of different ways a simple cartwheel could be used to torture and execute someone. So let's go way back to the beginning. Now, the first use of the wheel being used for torture was possibly in the age of Aristotle, ancient Greece, probably 4th century BC. This would be less the gore-fest of dropping heavy wheels and swinging hammers, and more a carnival ride from hell. Yeah. According to The Big Book of Pain by Mark P. Donnelly and Daniel Dell, a book I have used several times on this show, and a book that I will use several more, the victim was simply tied to a cartwheel and spun around until they offered the required information. Who does number 2 work for? But you gotta admit, at first it's probably fun. First you're probably like, this isn't too bad, but I mean, keep it going for a long time. That goes from being fun to being
pukey and
more severe turns on the wheel could lead to death through asphyxiation, choking on one's own vomit, cerebral hemorrhage, or heart attack.
And little did they know they were actually training future astronauts while they were doing this. Motherfuckers
Can
can't
you
even handle
handle
the
the
G-forces
entry?
of a wheel. Motherfuckers.
But the first use of the wheel that I could find that was more blood and bones was the round of time of Antiochus Epiphanes, the Assyrian king, between 174 and 165 BC. He wasn't a big fan of the Jews. Again, Jews being brought up, I don't know why. I think it's just kind of human history. They get brought up a lot when horrible things are happening, usually to them. And he couldn't understand why they refused to eat juicy, salty, delicious pork, which I can't say I understand it either. I know it's a religious thing. You're not supposed to eat, like, because they wade in the mud and they have feet instead of hooves and all that stuff. But I mean, it's so fucking tasty.
Don't care.
It's so fucking good. Just a big old hawk of pork. God damn it. Ham, a ham steak, bacon, pork chops. I mean, come on, man.
Sausage.
Sausage. Well, one story goes that a boy refused to eat the other white meat and was tied to a wheel, his joints dislocated, his bones broken, and his flesh torn away with red-hot pincers. A bed of coals lit under the wheel to enhance the pain, only being extinguished by the boy's own dripping blood.
Ooh, that's hardcore. That's some hardcore shit. Yeah. I put out a fire in my own blood.
Sounds like a Metalocalypse song.
Which is also called Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Misfortune.
Wheel of Misfortune. There you go. Oh, fuck. It's all coming together.
Yeah.
Like a wheel, like a circle.
Yeah.
If we jump a couple hundreds of years to the reign of the Roman Emperor Commodus in the late 2nd century AD, a victim would be secured on a wide wooden bench, and an iron-flanged wheel was then laid on their body. The executioner, wielding a heavy hammer, then pounded on the wheel, starting at the ankles, working slowly upwards, just breaking the bones. Or they could be strapped to a smaller wheel so that their arms and legs would extend beyond the rim, and the torture would then smash the limbs and drape them around the edge of the wheel.
A space saver from the back of your car.
Sometimes the wheel would be mounted horizontally, sometimes vertically. The victim would then be tied to either the face of the wheel or around the edge, many times lighting a fire underneath, turning the wheel into a roasting spit.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, hot. Oh, okay, that's not too bad. Okay, coming back around. Hot. Oh, okay, that's not so bad. I like it up here a lot more than I like it down there. If you can keep me up here, I'm fine. Actually feels kind of nice up here.
This is the whole thing of don't reinvent the wheel. Enter the Romans. Like, watch me,
don't
bitch.
reinvent the wheel. Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Roman author Josephus wrote, quote, "Then were the operators directed to bring in the Christian prisoner, and tearing away his tunic, bound his hands and feet with thongs." It's kind of sexy. "Then they fixed him about a great wheel, whereof the noble-hearted youth had all his joints dislocated, and all his limbs broken. The whole wheel was stained with his blood, and the grate containing the burning coals was put out by reasons of the drops of blood pouring down on it, while about the axle of the wheel the goblets of flesh were carried round and round, the parts adjoining the joints of the bones being everywhere cut to pieces. Another was fastened to the wheel on which he was stretched and burned with fire. Moreover, they applied spits, sharpened and made red-hot, to his back, and pierced his sides and inwards, searing the latter dreadfully." Very poetic.
Yeah.
Way of saying they fucked this guy up. You should have seen it. You should have been there. My God.
First they spun him a bit, then they poked him a bit, then they hit him a bit.
It also says that Romans would strap the victims to the outer rim of the wheel and
By their
simply
teeth.
roll them down a hill. I mean, of course,
Hey, look.
it is a wheel.
Simple, yet effective.
Well, you roll them down a hill until they are crushed to death. If they don't die the first time, then somebody's got to go down there, roll them all the way back up. It's like, you're so fucking heavy. Like, I'm sorry.
Just imagine.
All right, here you go again.
Boop, ow, boop, ow, boop, ow, boop, ow.
It gets down to the bottom. Dead yet? Oh. Fuck, gotta go get him again.
It's like that scene in Hot Rod. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah,
Andy
with Andy
Samberg, when he
Samberg.
falls down the hill.
Yeah.
Like that, but include a wheel.
Or they could connect two wheels together with lathes to make a sort of barrel known as the Great Wheel. Tie the victim around the outside of it, spread eagle, and then roll that down a hill or off a cliff, which seems like probably the better way to do it.
A waste of a wheel.
Yeah, well, waste of two wheels and a bunch of wood. Or they would just simply push it around the town square, where the subject would eventually be killed with hammer blows to the ribs.
It's some ways I don't get it. You know, it's just like, so they're going by all the other usual methods of stabby, stabby, pokey, pokey, smashy, burn, whatever. It's like, we're kind of bored of just doing that. Let's put them on a wheel. What's going to be different about it? You'd be on a wheel.
Fun for the children.
Like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
I think some they're standing there looking like, we got to punish this guy, looking around. Hammer.
Yeah.
Wheel. I got nothing. They could also tie someone to a wheel known as the Scorpion, which had
square.
which had spikes set along the rim, usually just extensions of the spokes. And they would be rolled back and forth over yet another set of spikes, literally grinding the victim to pieces. Because these aren't just like, they are technically just cartwheels, but cartwheels back before we had, cars were extremely heavy. They're thick, they're durable. I mean, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Go pick up a log sometime and see how much they fucking weigh. I mean, these things are probably, between 400 and 600 pounds a piece. So it's a lot of weight rolling over you.
Crush the living shit out of you, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the 6th century criminals, that's a hard one to say, 6th century criminals. 6th century criminals could be placed in a deep track, and then the cartwheel would be rolled through the trench over the subject back and forth until dead or near dead, which seems like...
That's just centuryist. Only they got to have that.
Yeah.
6th century guys.
Well, you're sitting there, it's 499 AD, New Year's Eve, and you're counting down, and then it hits that 500, you're like, woo! We can fucking put people in trenches now. Roll over them. Got 100 years of this shit. Let's get going.
Only people born from now on, though, people.
Yeah.
Nobody born before now.
No. Your grandfather did not having it done.
Yeah.
Now, as time went on, what was now sometimes referred to as the Catherine wheel would be most used in France and Germany. The hammer-on-bone method was introduced in France in 1534 by Francis I. It was the punishment for about 150 different crimes, but used mostly for traitors and murderers. Binding the felon face up on a large cartwheel on a scaffold or on a St. Andrew's cross, it would be lifted so that the wheel or cross could be fixed to a post horizontally or inclined at an angle so the crowd could get a better look. These were almost always done publicly. It's not like they're taking them to a dungeon to do this. This was almost always done publicly on a scaffold or in the middle of town or anything like that. Then the executioner would take up an iron bar, 3 foot long by 2 inch square, or a sledgehammer, whatever they have laying around.
Or a pickaxe or a screwdriver or
what do you got?
whatever. So.
I got a hammer. I got a bar. I got a pillow for some reason. The guy's just like, pillow. Use the pillow.
Yeah. Feathers everywhere.
Yeah. Put it in your mouth. Like, somehow this is worse. And with great deliberation, slow and accurate, slowly and accurately proceeded to smash the arms and legs to a pulp. Now, depending on the sentence, the end would be brought about either by a blow to the heart, the neck, or the stomach, or with a garrote pulled tight, strangling them to death. The garrotes were usually wire thin, and they would be, turned or strangled while they're on the wheel, but they made it to where the spectators couldn't see the strangulation, so they still got the full experience of this person being tortured, even though there's a good chance that they were dead.
Yeah.
You don't want to. Kayfabe. You don't want to ruin the illusion for everybody. Kane and Undertaker are still brothers. Damn it.
Yeah.
Now, the worse the crime. Do you see that they're coming out with a TV show? I saw something about they're coming out with a TV show about one of their kids. Yeah. Kane sets fire to the house and everything.
Yeah. God only knows.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, the worse the crime, the longer the punishment before the coup de grace would be given. In 1761, 86-year-old Jean Calas of Toulouse was convicted of killing his own son and sentenced to be broke for 2 full hours before he was given the blow of mercy. His body then burned to ashes. 86. I know 86-year-olds that can't walk downstairs, let alone take 2 hours of their bones being broken. It doesn't take that much to break an 86-year-old bones.
So your man's probably like, I've been married for 70 years. Do your worst.
This is a vacation.
Yeah.
Have you met my wife?
Catherine.
That's Catherine. They named it after her because she's such a ball buster. Now, he was even more extreme in Germany.
His name was. I forgot what his name was already. I just said, call him poor old Jerry.
John Calas. Poor old Jerry John. Poor old John Jerry John.
Today's episode is brought to you by podup.com.
Let's be honest, whether you want to admit it or not, you've probably thought at some point to start a podcast. Podcasts are fun. Podcasts are fun. You and I have a good time on here, Dan.
Just get on, talk junk.
Yeah. I mean, it's some dark content. What we're talking about isn't necessarily fun, but we make it fun. We have a good time. And we would never even met each other for one podcast. So
that's true. Podcasts and Canadians.
Podcasts and Canadians. Little D&D thrown in there. I mean, change your life.
Well, there are about 5 million podcasts out there, and around 90% of those stop after just 3 episodes. That's including about 1.8 million that stop before they even start, which we know a thing or two about that, now, to be fair.
Yeah, we do, unfortunately.
Quite a few still on the drawing room floor. So.
Yeah. And of those that do get started and past that 3 episode mark, about 90% of those don't get past 20 episodes. And there's a reason. Podcasting is hard. Well, successful podcasting is hard.
Yeah, it's not just sitting in front of a microphone and talking for an hour, even though sometimes that's what it is for me. It's recording, audio editing, video editing, social media, promotion, blah, 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 all the stuff that Kevin does.
And I do. And finding and paying for all that software to use can be just as big of a headache, not to mention expensive.
Well, with PodUp, you can have a one-stop shop for everything you need to take your podcast to the next level.
With 35 powerful modules with AI integration and one software, you can create, publish, grow, monetize, and manage your podcast with a simple, easy-to-use interface.
Everything from a site builder and recorder to editing for video and audio, live streams, blogs, and transcriptions.
Legal, newsletters, SEO,
Setting up shops, getting ads and sponsorships.
managing your workflow, files, and even backing up your content.
Set up an account today and get 14 days free. And even schedule a demo with one of PodUp's podcasting experts to see how to start producing and monetizing your very own podcast.
And when you're ready, use our exclusive coupon code TORTURE15 for 15% off whichever package you decide to go with.
And if you're a professional that's even too busy for that, go to podallies.com.
Yeah, their done-for-you podcast production and marketing service will take care of the dirty work for you.
Dirty. We're talking websites, social media, editing work, SEO, all done for you. So you can just focus on being the star of the show, like me, and getting on with your day, unlike Kevin, who has to do all the work.
That's why everybody comes is for Dan. And this team of experts will use PodUp software to put your podcast on the map where it belongs. See, just they're using PodUp software. It's all one big circle. It's always coming back around.
Like opposite of a square.
That's right.
There you go. So go to podup.com and podallies.com and use our coupon TORTURE15 for 15% off. That's TORTURE15 for 15% off.
Podup.com, the ultimate podcasting platform. It was even more extreme in Germany. The Catherine wheel or breaking wheel would rest on a tripod, which would allow the wheel to turn. So the tripod, that's Cartouche. He was the tripod because he's got the three legs.
Nice.
Bringing it all back around like a wheel, a circle. And this would allow the wheel to turn so spectators on all sides could see the victim, and the executioner wouldn't have to expend any energy by walking around the wheel. I mean, it's tiring just going around and around. So they'd be able to spin them.
Somebody.
Yeah. Now, while in France the number of blows with a hammer could be as little as 8 or 9, in Germany it was commonplace to administer as many as 40 at minimum. And unlike us Germans go for it. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna fucking do it.
Got a German efficiency.
That's right. Well, I mean, if it was efficient, it would be one blow, I guess. And unlike other countries, there was no strangling cord or garrote. Relief only coming from the coup de grace to the neck or chest. But executions weren't always carried out on the wheel. Sometimes they were carried out with the wheel. The victim would be
in the wheel.
In the wheel. Over the wheel.
Beside the wheel. Wheel adjacent.
Wheel adjacent. Somewhere in the vicinity of a wheel.
Yeah. Quickly, there's a round thing. Get him.
Get the wheels. Now, the victim would be staked to the ground or to a St. Andrew's cross, and the wheel would be lifted and brought down no less than twice per limb. So they went from just tying you to it to picking it up and dropping it on you. And again, these things, not light. Once below the knee on each leg, once above the knee on each leg. The same on the arms, once below the elbow for each, then once above. And sometimes, when on the cross, the wood that was under the calves, thighs, forearms, and upper arms would be scraped away to form large divots so the wheel could more easily break the bone. So it would concave your bones in.
Yeah, that's some smart thinking right there.
Isn't it? It's like you keep smashing them, but there's no give. And I don't like that. I want a good snap. I'll just take some wood out from underneath it.
Yeah.
Genius.
Oh God.
Your camera's going fucking
out, yeah.
crazy. Your camera's having a fucking seizure. For those listening and not watching, Dan is going whoop, whoop, whoop,
zooming
He's
all over the
three
place.
stooging it.
That seems to calm down now.
Now, the nature of the crime would be what really determined the amount of blows with the wheel. The worse and more gruesome the crime, like treason or patricide, the more blows with that. I sounded like I was from fucking Mississippi when I just said patricide. No, treason and patricide. Getting down in there and getting them, give me some catfish and we'll go noodle it. The more blows with the wheel before you were put out of your misery, not just merely breaking the bones, but eviscerating them until bits of splintered bone and marrow fly from the open wound. Sometimes sharp-edged timbers would be placed under the prisoner's joints to smash the knees, ankles, wrists, and elbows to powder. For a select few, a mercy would be given by having the executioner start with the coup de grace, with either a blow to the head, neck, or chest before breaking the bones. And we've seen this in a few different torture devices and methods where the person is killed before the body is eviscerated, pretty much. It being more symbolic than anything.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They appear in the afterlife with their arms and legs all missing, and just like,
Yeah, they're like this for the rest for all eternity.
Yeah.
Like, it's not so bad once you get used to it. I can scratch my own elbow now. Ooh.
it's flopping around the place.
They call me Floppy. I'm a Muppet. The others.
You get these mental images of them turning and the arms going. Yeah.
Vroom, vroom, vroom. After the others wouldn't be as lucky after their bones were broken. They would not just be strapped to the wheel, but their mangled and twisted limbs would be woven through the spokes of the wheel, braided through, then tied on to keep the victim from falling off. So,
just tying a knot with his arms because they're all fucked up. It's like,
tie the arms in a bow.
Yeah.
But yeah, instead of just draping them on the wheel and tying them so they lay spread eagle, they would literally take the bones and weave. They would weave your limbs all around the spoke so that you were being bent in ways you weren't supposed to be, and then they would leave you there.
cool.
Yeah,
Bastards.
that's really where the whole wheel aspect of it came into play, because you couldn't do that with just like a cross, or a piece of wood. It'd have to be something, kind of more intricate.
Next week, the ladder of pain.
The wheel was
made
then
you walk up the ladder, they made you walk down the ladder, they made you walk up the ladder and then push the ladder over. Then they made you run down the ladder, around a hill carrying the ladder.
Go up to the top of the ladder, push it down. You dead?
Yeah.
Pick it up, go again.
Back up again.
The wheel was then erected on a mast or pole. Sometimes the subject was then decapitated or strangled, but many times... Duty. But many times the convict would be left out on the wheel for hours or even days to die a slow, agonizing death. In 1348, a Jewish man, again, I don't know what it matters. I'm typing this out. I'm going, man, I'm typing the word Jew a lot today. I don't understand what's going on.
All this torture is severely anti-Semitic, so it is.
Yes. See that wheel? He hates Jews.
Next week, it's the anti-Semitic ladder.
In 1348, a Jewish man by the name of Bonadies was broken on the wheel for supposedly spreading the Black Death. For those of you who don't know a whole lot about the plague of the Black Death, it was a very anti-Semitic time, and Jews were seen as spreaders of the Black Death, whether it be on purpose or just because you had it and gave it to somebody else. Jewish people were seen as super spreaders. So pretty much, Republicans.
So you go around licking people.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
They were rat lickers.
Yeah.
and that he remained conscious for 4 full days before finally dying. 1581, the German serial killer Christmann Ginterpernega allegedly, which I probably murdered his last
like he did
name.
with his victims.
Exactly. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do to your last name what you did to all your victims. Ginterpernega, that's your last name now. Allegedly stayed alive and conscious for 9 days on the wheel, being kept alive deliberately with a, quote, strong drink. So, I don't know, beer with meat in it, maybe? I don't know.
Mayonnaise.
German. Yeah, he's German. I'm sure it's something dark and strong. But even after their passing, the body
Terry
would be...
Crews. He's dark and strong.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We call this the Terry Crews. That's what I'm asking for. I don't even drink, but next time I go to a bar, that's what I'm asking for. Give me the Terry Crews. Something dark and strong.
Yeah, baby.
He's an amazing painter. Did you know that?
He's amazing at everything.
Yeah. But he used to paint, he used to play for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he used to paint portraits of people on the side for his teammates and shit. So, yeah. Very talented. I love Terry Crews.
Great man.
Yeah. But even after their passing, the body would be left to the elements for the scavenging animals, sometimes for months, until the entire body was wasted away from decay and the bones were dragged away by birds, dogs, and other wild creatures. Or they would just be thrown into a fire. Either it's like, well, we have 2 options. We can either just leave them here and let the animals take care of it, or we can just throw them in that fire over there. It's like, seems like there's probably other options. No, those are literally the only 2.
My hammer's all the way over there. The fire is right here.
If somebody doesn't pick up this body and throw it in that fire, I'm just going to leave it there. I didn't make that mess. Clean up your mess. That's fine. I'm just going to leave them there. It's like nobody wants to take out the trash, and we all see how long it is before somebody, or nobody wants to wash that one bowl. So we all just wait to see who's going to wash the bowl and just
or
stays
tops
there.
it up, drops it off.
Either way, it was seen that this final act would make it harder, if not impossible, for the soul to rest in the afterlife. However, if the victim somehow fell from the wheel, either during or after the punishment, or the wheel broke in the course of being slammed on a limb or smashed with a hammer, or gave way from the heat of a fire, the convict would be released from his sentence as it was seen as divine intervention. The subject would then be taken into the care of a doctor where his wounds would be treated as best as they could. Now you got to think, this is fucking amazing if it happens at the very beginning. If they tie you to the wheel and it breaks.
Straight away. Yeah.
Cool. If they get through with everything and you're hanging up there for a day already, your limbs all woven through the spokes, and it breaks, you're like, no, just kill me now. Yeah. Nope, God said you got to live. You got to live with it. Come on. We're going to go set those
I signed
bones.
a DNR.
Well, the worst is like if you fall and then the wheel falls on you. You're just, no. Fucking hell. There's also a story of the German, I brought up the German serial killer Christmann Ginterpernega. There's also Peter Nayers, who was convicted of killing like 544 people along with his gang or some shit like that. He was also broken on the wheel, but if you remember from our Drawn and Quartered episode, or Horses, pretty much episode, people were quartered, but they were killed first. Well, he was one of the only ones I was able to actually find who was quartered alive, tied to the horses, and then they pulled him apart with all his bones broken while alive.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Lovely.
Now, the wheel was used on Sikh martyrs in India by their Muslim rulers. Bahi Sumbeg Singh and Bahi Shabazz Singh were both broken on a rotating wheel when they refused to convert to Islam. It was used in Hungary, Russia, Italy, Sweden, Holland, Denmark, and Belgium, but for some reason never really caught on in the UK or in Ireland. Even
we didn't
though
have wheels.
we still had squares.
Yeah. Everybody's going around
everybody
going,
to sled.
dunk.
Even though tying someone down and breaking their bones with a hammer or an iron bar seems to fit perfectly in medieval England's wheelhouse, pun only somewhat intended. It seems, I mean, tie him down to a wheel. What are we doing, sir? Tie him down to a wheel and beat him with a hammer. The rack's being used already. I mean, it seems like something that would happen in England.
They're too busy pitch capping everybody.
That's true.
Yeah. They're
Tear
also
that
too
man's
distracted
hair off.
by the Irish necks under their boots.
The wheel was too good for the Irish. Put him on a square.
Bastards.
You motherfucking English. Now, there are a few instances in Scotland, the most famous of which taking place in the early 1600s. The servant Robert Weir of Edinburgh was broken on the wheel for the murder of Lord of Warriston John Kincaid on orders from the Lord's wife, Jean. Weir was strapped to a wheel and beaten with the coulter of a plow, which apparently is the thick metal part that goes from like the top of from like the strap down to the bottom of the plow. It's very tough, thick wood. Jean Kincaid was later beheaded.
That's what she said. Tough, thick wood.
Go get a thing of big, heavy wood.
Yeah.
Give it to him.
It didn't stay. My plow?
It didn't stay just in Europe either. This thing was global, making its way to the New World. Oh, the New World. Oh. J.G. Stedman stated in his Book of Travels from 1772 to 1777 how when in Suriname on the southern American coast, he witnessed a slave tied to a wooden cross on a wheel. His left hand was chopped off with a hatchet, then, quote, his bones broke into slivers until the blood, marrow, and splinters flew around the scaffold. The slave was then thrown from the wheel and left to lay in agonizing pain for the next 6 hours while he begged for someone to put him out of his misery. He's just laying there crying for somebody to behead him. Eventually, someone comes across him and beats him to death with the butt of their musket.
So I just hear some weird noises. And then he follows it up with, and by the way, he was Jewish.
You just didn't like him because he was black. Nah, Jew. The worst thing of all, Jewish a black people. Jew. Bloody crap.
They got all the torture. Apparently.
Yeah. He might as well have been Irish, too. Black Jewish Irish. Everybody's just looking at him like, oh, you poor motherfucker. You're just going to have a hard time in life. At least one slave in New York was executed on the Catherine Wheel in 1712 for a failed slave rebellion, and between 1730 and 1754, 11 slaves in Louisiana were broken on the wheel for assaulting or escaping their masters. And in front of St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans, Jean-Baptiste Boudreau, there's a lot of Jeans or Jeans in this story as well. There's almost as many as there are Jews.
Yeah.
Jews and Jean-Baptiste Boudreau II was broken on June 7th, 1757, for his possible participation in the mutiny and murder of a commanding officer at a French prison on modern-day Cat Island, Mississippi, where he was captive for illegally salvaging wrecked ships. His mutilated body then thrown into the Mississippi River. It's like, come on, you're going to prison. You can't salvage that wrecked ship. Why not? That seems like a weird thing to be illegal.
Yeah.
Correct.
Sure. Well, yeah. Is there not something to do with the thing still being property of the owners? I know I've seen something in some TV shows or something.
I have no idea. This was the 1750s, so I don't. I'm not sure. Could just be that they're French and they didn't want anybody else to take their shit. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Now, according to Jeffrey Abbott's What a Way to Go, the guillotine, the pendulum, the 1,000 cuts, the Spanish donkey, and 66 other ways of putting someone to death, which is a great read, by the way. It's a great toilet read. Just sit there and learn. The year 1788 was not only the last time the wheel would be used in France, but also the only time it resulted in a happy ending, which is kind of a weird way to get a massage.
Yeah.
just run it. I'm on the wheel. Just some
They made it the whole way to Thailand.
Robert Kraft from the Patriots is up there on the wheel. Yeah, give it to me, Tom Brady. Yeah. It all started with a family quarrel. Mathurin Luchar, an old working-class smithy, showed concern when his son... Guess what his son's name is, Dan?
Jean Juju.
It's Jean, which I am guessing is Jean Valjean. I mean, it's French, so it's got to be Jean. Expressed views of a Republican nature. I also get concerned with my son's shown views of Republican nature because I actually have a son and a stepson who have both shown views of a Republican nature, and I know I am not happy about it. But, you know, what can you do? I'm not going to disown, well, at least not one of them.
Both of them. Yeah.
So pick and choose. Sophie's choice. Which one do I choose to disown? Hey, there he is.
I didn't think people want to see me blow my nose so much.
Yeah, for people not watching, just listening, Dan disappeared for about a minute. After an argument, Jean left the house for several days, only returning nights later in hopes of seeing his father's housekeeper's daughter, Helene. But Helene's mother had plans for her to marry Mathurin, which Helene vehemently rejected.
I think Mathurin.
Mathurin.
So it's like
which
Matthew and Catherine.
Yeah.
Mathurin,
if he's a boy, we name him
stupid
Matthew.
name.
If he's a girl, we name him Catherine. Wait. We got it. We'll name him Jean.
Yeah.
Like
Stupid
everybody
name.
else. Now, when Jean came to the house, he heard a scream. He rushed inside to find his father about to beat Helene. That almost sounded like a poem. He heard a scream. He rushed inside to see his father about to beat Helene. Like the one I wrote a few years ago. Mathurin then picked up a hammer in an attempt to strike his son, but Jean grabbed it from him. Turning to leave, Jean threw the hammer back into the room, inadvertently hitting his father and killing him. And I have in here, that's one magic hammer. And all I could think when I wrote that is the Seinfeld episode where Kramer and Newman both get spit on, and Jerry's like, that's one magic loogie.
That's just brilliant. I was just walking out and just throwing it behind him. Like, free. Just, yeah.
Hits his dad. Dad dies. Whole place blows up. Yeah!
Turns out it was the French Thor.
Transporter to
Le Thor.
yes. And it comes back to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was arrested. He was arrested and found guilty of patricide, sentenced to be broken on the wheel, but the public disagreed with the sentence, the crime seen by almost everyone as a horrible accident. So when the time came and Sanson, yes, the same Sanson executioner from earlier, strapped Jean... It's a callback, is what it is. That's what we call the business, a callback. When he strapped Jean to the wheel, the villagers in attendance rushed forward, cut Jean free, demolished the wheel and the scaffold, throwing the wood into the fire, which was set to burn the body afterwards. King Louis XVI then pardoned Jean, and later that year abolished the use of the wheel. Unfortunately,
they saved the wrong Jean, though, because there's 6 other ones there ready, waiting to get in line to get onto the wheel. And they jumped the gun. Here, next up is Jean.
Jean. Like, we have all these Jeans. Jean, are you Jewish?
Yeah.
This John's Jewish. This John's black and Jewish. This John's black, Jewish, and Irish. He's definitely going to get it. This is the Jean that killed us. Which one do we save? And then they're all on one big wheel and they spin.
Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Jeans. Unfortunately, there is no record on whether Jean and Helene ever got married. I would imagine they did. He probably beat her at some point. She probably had 9 kids and died in her early 30s.
They named all of them Jean.
Jean 1, Jean 2, Jean 2 Jr., Jean 3. They ran out of numbers and started having to use letters. Jean A. Canadian Jean, Jean A. The last use of the wheel was probably in Prussia in 1841. There's not a whole lot of information on the last use of it, but that's the last one I could find was just it was used in Prussia in 1841, and then it kind of fell out of favor after that.
After the invention of the automobile, and they just ran people over instead.
That's right. We use our wheels in different ways now. We tie you to the back of the car and just drive.
Wheels became too light. They had advanced too far technologically.
So it's obvious why it's called the breaking wheel, but why the Catherine wheel? Well, for that we go back to 4th century A.D. Roman Egypt and to a young woman named Jean. No, Catherine. It's the Dan's like, God damn it. It's the Jean wheel. According to the story, wheel. Catherine was the daughter of the governor of Alexandria during the Rome of Maximin. She was herself a devoted Christian after a vision of Virgin Mary and child Jesus persuaded her to become one. Can you tell yet if this is going to be a real story or not?
Yeah, I had a dream about a sandwich the other night. Doesn't mean I'm going to become one. So,
I had a dream I was a Jean, so I'm legally changing my name to Jean the Jew.
It's my middle name.
Jean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dan Jean Hourigan.
Yep.
The persecution of the Christians started under the Emperor Maxentius. She apparently went to the emperor to call him out on his cruelty and his general bullshit. In turn, he summoned 50 of his best pagan philosophers to debate and convert her. Not only did she win these debates, but was able to convert many of these orators herself.
She didn't. Nobody would admit it. That's the problem.
They were all quickly put to death. Now, as the legend goes, she was tortured and imprisoned, but she was fed daily by a dove from heaven, and her wounds were tended to by angels with a salve. It's just Dan, does the camera look? It's not just some guy who just got done jerking off, walks into her cell. She's like, "Are you an angel?" Yeah, sure. Out here, here's that salve. Yeah, just wipes it off. Oh, God. You feeling better now? It's a salve.
Thank
I'll
you,
be back in a few hours. It's like that's that episode of South Park where Cartman has to get the stuff from the homeless guy. He's like, "Hey, puts this rod through this hole, and I just put it in my mouth, and I just go." I suck it all out. It's a salve, lady. I'm an angel. It's a salve. Go in there and get it.
Oh, what the fuck? Sorry, my audio's jumping all over the place for some reason.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird. Anyway, sorry.
Over 200 people migrated to meet with her, probably to rub a salve on her.
To try and beat her in an argument.
I'm sorry. Including the emperor's own wife, Valeria, all of which converted to Christianity and then martyred. Did you meet with Catherine? Yeah. Are you a Christian now? Yeah. Kill him. Over and over. Honey, what'd you do today? I met with Catherine. Are you Christian now? Yeah. Fuck. I gotta get a new wife.
Serious amount of wheels on the go. We got you a new job in the wheel factory. Go make your...
Now, after a refusal of marriage, the emperor sentenced Catherine to be broken on the wheel. But when she was secured around the rim, the wheel broke apart, and the spikes that were meant to bury into her skin popped off, injuring many of the spectators. Which just is like a Naked Gun movie. Pop, pop, ooh, ow. It's so stupid. The shit you guys.
I don't want to call bullshit, but I'm calling bullshit. All right. I'm pulling my bullshit card right now.
It's about to get very real.
No.
Because the emperor then had her beheaded, but instead of blood, only milk flowed from the body.
That's because that guard has been visiting her way too much. That's what it is.
What is this? She's all filled with salve.
Yeah. Was that you again, Jean?
It's milk, sir. I think that's salve. And then just somebody standing on the side. That's blood. You guys are colorblind. What the fuck are you talking about?
So it turns out she was an android all along.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes. It's exactly what it was. If you don't get that reference, then you're listening to the wrong fucking podcast.
You have my sympathies.
Yeah, sort your fucking life out, as Dan would say.
Yes.
Catherine. Oh, there's the cough. Catherine is now the patron saint of wheelwrights and philosophers, the wheel being placed on the coat of arms for several universities and cities around the world.
Did you say wheelwrights?
Yeah.
So wheels got rights before black people did, before women did, before the Jews
Irish
did, before the Irish did. Fucking wheels.
That man is allowed to speak his mind. He has rights. No, he's Irish. Oh, well, what about the wheel? The wheel can say whatever the fuck it wants.
The wheel gets a vote.
You cannot own land, sir. You are Jewish. That land belongs to that wheel. Now, with many of these devices that we cover, there is a question of, did this really exist? And for many of them, we have to say, we don't know for sure. Mostly because, other than minute-by-minute records being kept of torture sessions, there isn't much physical evidence. No unzipped ribs of Vikings or Englishmen from the Blood Eagle. No stretched-out bodies from the rack. No ancient anuses that are torn asunder from the Judas cradle. But that's where this is different. Because in 2019, a team of experts in Milan, Italy, unearthed the skeleton of a man who probably lived in the 13th century, was between 17 and 20 years old, and the analysis of his bones showed that he had suffered from wounds symmetrically positioned around his arms and legs. Hinting at the intentional nature of his injuries, researchers concluded that the man had most probably been tortured on the breaking wheel. So there's also a little bit of information about a man being found in Germany while they were digging up the ground to lay a highway. And they found him, and they could tell from his belt buckle he was from between the 15th and 17th century. He had the same type of injuries, and they're like, oh, he was probably broken on the wheel. But, yeah, no bodies ever found with, like, the arms and legs stretched way out from the rack. No bodies found with the head crushed in from the head crusher or anything like that. So to have actual physical evidence is, sucks for that guy, but it's pretty neat for us.
Finally.
I've been looking for this for so long.
The evidence we've been looking
Now,
for.
there is very slight correlation. And honestly, the only reason I have it in here is because it's kind of a fun little tidbit of information. There's very slight correlation between the wheel and another even more famous and effective execution device. On a balmy Paris day in May 1738, a heavily pregnant woman, so shocked by the sight of a man having his limbs shattered on the wheel, she had to be carried home after going into premature labor. Both mother and son survived their ordeal with no apparent side effects. She and her husband had a boy. 48 years later, in 1785, the son began experimenting with mechanical methods of separating a man from his head. Other nations had used such devices before, such as the What was that?
I said Hitler. Bring you go back around to the Jews.
Yeah. Such as the Halifax gibbet. But since none of these previous inventors had been French, beheading machines had never seemed acceptable to the French. By October of 1789, the Revolutionary Assembly had taken power, and the son had managed to arrange an audience to explain the principles of his machine. The supposedly instantaneous death by decapitation seemed to be in line with the new French policy of abolishing torture. The son's name, Joseph Guillotine.
He invented the rack.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Fair play to him. Innovation.
And then
at its finest.
Maximilien Robespierre would take that and run with it and kill, like, I don't know, a third of France or some shit like that.
For shame.
He just goes fucking nuts. I had Maximilien Robespierre on the docket to do, but he pretty much just killed people with the guillotine, which isn't really torturous. It's actually the opposite of torture. It's a very quick execution. So, but I imagine some of those people were tortured before, so we might cover them at some point. We will cover the guillotine at some point, I'm sure, but I don't know if we'll go all the way to covering Robespierre. But that's all I there's another little tidbit. Saint Catherine of Alexandria. She was one of the voices that Joan of Arc claimed to hear when she was friends with old Gilderay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, all those voices she heard that told her to go to war and be just horrible at it. Yeah, that was hers. That was one of hers. Yeah, was St. Catherine. Catherine's like, you know that guy you hang out with? He likes little boys. And she's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
He's like pinging. He likes to ping pennies off their arses.
He's that Gilderay guy. He likes to go by the name Sean Puffy Combs. I don't understand what that's all about. But
his best friend is Paul Bernardo.
Dan, any pop culture?
There is a Five Nights at Freddy's. I believe it's a comic book. Something to call a Breaking Wheel.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. There's a chapter or a story called The Breaking Wheel, which I don't know exactly how much it has. Yeah. And then, as you pointed out before, there's a band. And that's about all I can say.
There's a metal band.
You know,
I listened to them a little bit. Not my style of metal, but if that's what you're into, I'm not going to yuck your yum. Like if I was in a car with somebody and they were driving, they put it on, I'd be fine. I'd rock out to it, but it's not something I would put on myself. But to each their own.
Them up right now. The Breaking Wheel Band.
I was really hoping there was a
Is it on YouTube?
Taylor Swift song, Breaking Wheel, but
sadly not. Sadly not.
Yeah.
Poor Tay-Tay hasn't had a look in quite a while.
Yeah.
See, she doesn't write enough about this anymore. You know, she's happy now.
She's happy now, which is just, it's good for her, but horrible for the music.
Yeah, it's horrible for us. And
It's like when
Jesus.
It's like when Weezer got off the hard drugs. All their music just went downhill. You know, she's in love now, and it's just everything's just shit. You know, Travis, if you really loved her, you dump her so she could continue to put out the music that has made her so famous. The music that white girls like to scream in their car.
I want to listen to Breaking Wheel real quick.
Yeah. That's not your style.
I was waiting to hear the vocals kick in. As soon as I heard them, I said nope.
Yeah, I mean, the name Breaking Wheel, you think you know what you're getting, but yeah, it's exactly that. Which is fine. I haven't, there's nothing against it. It's just not my style of metal. I'm a metalhead, but that's not my style of metal.
I'm okay without that.
I wonder if there's a Breaking Wheel in that new Robbie Williams movie with the monkey. I was meaning to ask you.
Yeah.
Like, is Robbie Williams that big of a thing in Ireland too?
He's pretty well known, yeah.
He is not here. I mean, we know who he
that
is.
Doesn't surprise me.
He had one big hit like long ago. But other than that, he's like no. And even his big hit wasn't that big of a hit.
He's big enough over here.
But I hear the movie's really good.
I'm not bothered with it.
If it pops up on basic cable in the next 5 years or something, I'll probably watch it. But I'm not going to rush to the theater to see it or rent it or anything like that.
I won't, being honest. Too many other good things to watch.
Yeah,
I've heard the opposite, and anything I've seen of it preview-wise, I'm like, don't really give a shit.
No, I don't care. No, I don't. But if it's a good movie, I'll watch it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to see it. There's so many other things that I want to see. We really want to go to the theater and see Nosferatu, but we just haven't had the time. With everything going on,
I'd like to see that.
It's supposed to be really good. Well, anyway, thank you to our patrons. Yes, after being off and not doing anything for 3 fucking months, we still have patrons. We still have people who have been steadfast and loyal. Willow Quinn Fowler, of course, Nevin, and Sam Bray. You could sign up as well at patreon.com/torturepod. 1 week of our cult leader tier for free. Guys, thank you so much for everybody who's continued to listen, for everybody who's continued to support us, our patrons, all of you. Thank you. We are back. We are going to be putting out regular content again. We're still trying to figure out all our bullshit. We still got stuff going on, but we are going to, we're going to be here for it. All right. Might not quite be where we want, but we are here, and going to give you...
We're here. We're queer. We don't want any more bears.
Some of the episodes that were I was pushing off to later seasons or later in the season, I'm going to push them up and try to get those done because I want to make up for the 3 months that we haven't gotten anything. I'm going to give you guys some hardcore stuff. With that said, you can connect with us on the socials at TorturePod. See how long you can get us on TikTok. I don't know. I'm going to continue to put stuff out until I can't put stuff out on there anymore. I'm not going to Red Note because I'm not giving my information to the Chinese willingly. I know there's people on there that would be like, "Oh, I'm using my social security number as my password and stuff like that." It's like, just okay, be an idiot, whatever.
Yeah, it's like signing up for Temu.
Yeah. Oh, my wife got stuff from Temu. I was like, "What are you doing?" We already had your credit card stolen, your debit card stolen like twice now because you get shit online that you shouldn't. Sick and tired of it. Yeah, thousands of dollars we've lost because of that type of shit.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go on Blue Sky. I haven't posted anything yet, but we're on Blue Sky now, and we're going to add a few others. So you can find us on the socials at TorturePod. Email us, torturepod@gmail.com. Dan's camera went out again.
It fell.
It fell.
Yeah, it was just sitting there next to you. It just went bonk.
I guess that divine intervention. It doesn't have to be used anymore. I guess it's just
that's true.
because it fell off the buymeacoffee.com/torturepod, redbubble.com/people/torturepod for the merch. Dan doesn't have his torture hat on. He has just as good a hat, though. Better dad than Chris Benoit. All Pride merch profits donated to the Trevor Project. Go rate, review wherever you can. Also, thank you to our sponsors. You can support us by supporting them. Hint for our next episode. I just want everybody to remember, you guys asked for this. Specifically, Sam, if I do remember right. So,
is this the time we're going to listen to all the entire Taylor Swift back catalogue? This week, we torture ourselves.
Dan, any words of wisdom?
Don't buy a house. I don't know.
Literally what I'm going to do in a couple weeks. I'm going to go close on my house.
Well, good way of saving money is instead of going out and buying jam donuts and making a mess by squeezing all the jam out of them, you just go in and buy jars of jam.
Yeah.
It's cheaper, less messy. You get more jam per dollar. Yeah.
Don't go buy jelly-filled donuts just for the jelly. Go buy actual jelly.
Well, yeah, keep forgetting that you guys call it jelly over there.
Well, jam and jelly are two different things. Jelly's made with the juice. Jam is made with the fruit. Actual fruit. So, jam and jelly are two different things. Yeah. I prefer jelly because it doesn't have, like, seeds and stuff. Which you
says, yeah, so that's the thing. Here it'd be preserve.
We also have preserve.
All right, and then compound.
Preserve comes. So you got your jellies that are with like juice and pectin. Jams are with the fruit, but it's emulsified to the point. It's like a jelly consistency, but there's little bits of fruit and stuff in it. And then the preserve is like the fruit. There's like thicker chunks almost of fruits and seeds and stuff like that. So yeah, we have all three. I prefer jelly because I don't want to get any of the actual. But a strawberry or a raspberry preserve or a jam, I'm good with. It's very tasty.
I hungry.
A good bagel with some cream cheese and like an apricot preserve on top or a blackberry preserve on top is fucking king. My God, it's delicious.
Never tried that
for a long time. Yeah, did it for a long time.
Might have to try that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Or whatever type of preserve you like, but whatever. All right. Well, good to be back.
Yeah,
Dan, I've been missing you.
You too.
I mean, I don't know if people... Hugs and kisses. I don't know if people realize this, but Dan and I don't have the opportunity to get on here and actually talk face-to-face, really. So it's just been voice messages and text messages and shit back and forth for the past few months. So it is good to get back on here and see my buddy. His big, beautiful Irish face right in my computer screen.
Yeah, baby.
All right.
I got new glasses as well, people. Got new glasses.
Very nice.
Because I lost my glasses.
Yes. Breaking apart what was that? Like a little, almost looked like a tree house. Not a tree house, but a playhouse or something in your backyard.
Yeah, and they ended up in a what we would call a skip. Don't know what you guys call it over there. I'm trying to remember. Big giant steel bin thing a truck delivers for you to put all the shit in when you're emptying a house.
Oh, we got dumpster hoppers, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's dumpster thing. Yeah. It's just, So
I figured all
I was on top of one of those, jumping up and down, crushing shit down, and next thing you realise my glasses were gone. So
1 second I could see, the next second I can't. I don't know what happened.
So I was in work wearing my sunglasses at the desk.
I imagine that the false widows had carried them off.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. There's been plenty of those.
The whole fucking house on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. All right. Well, that's all we got for today. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll see you.
All right, partner. Keep on rolling, baby.